Welcome to Through the Lens of Astrology. I'm your host, Heather Ariel. And I just wanted to do a brief video to kind of bring in some of the current energy. The sun is in Libra, Mercury retrograde is in Libra, and then Mars is in Libra. If you want to do a deep dive, please check out my Astro Oracle podcast or my radio show, Through the Lens of Astrology. And then I go into real depth on these topics, but I wanted so much energy in Libra. And Libra energy is really important because it is all about justice and bringing equality. So let's think about Libra. It is the only zodiac sign that is an inanimate object. Okay, it's the scales, right? It's not an animal. It's not an animal. It's not a person. And think about what that means because we have these intense feelings, right? We can run away with our emotions. And with Libra scale, the Libra energy is saying, no, 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 let us not run away with emotions. Let us have rational thought. Let's bring it in. Let's combine that with intuition. And let's make sure that the scales are as balanced as they can be. That's why it has to do with equality and human rights. And I'll tell you, there's so many I wanted to bring up, I want to kind of keep this pointed. One of the most important things that have just happened that is just so in alignment with what Libra energy can do. We've had all of these sexual abuse scandals come to light, right? And we had the gymnast talk about all the gymnasts, Ali Reisman and Simone Biles, and the gymnasts talk about this. And now, just recently, Mana Shim and the female soccer players. And it's really important because this just came in with the Libra energy, and that is what the Libra energy is about more than anything. It's how do we fight for justice? How do we bring equality? And how do we balance these horrific power plays? And sexual abuse, I mean, that's a power play. That is, one person has power, and when you hear Monashim and the women talk, and when the doctor, their own doctor with the gymnasts abuse them, they're horrible power plays that allow these things to develop because either an extreme age difference or, well, he was my doctor. And that's what Libra is about. How can we correct that? How can we balance those scales? And I did want to share one beautiful quote from Mana that I think we should all think about, because this is why it's important to talk about these things with Libra. She says, the number of times we have to hear this story and talk about it, we shouldn't have to do this over and over and over again. But unfortunately, we do, right? So, what's important is that we stay open when people share their trauma and when these stories come to light. That's something that we can all do, right? And then we can discuss it with the diplomacy, the assertive diplomacy, and really then work out, bring in the rational thought and the rational data to then balance the scales. So I was very, very moved. If you follow my radio show Through the Lens of Astrology, if you follow my podcast, Astro Oracles, I mean, I talk a lot about these issues of power plays, of what happens when, especially violence against women and sexual abuse. I mean, I talk about these things a lot, and it's really perfect to talk about these things during Libra. Like, let's look at our lives, let's look at our country, and wherever there is inequality, yeah, let's embrace this beautiful Libra energy to just give us that. Because I know we're exhausted, right? The country, everybody's just disagreeing and yelling at each other. We get burned out. But the Libra energy is there, and it's air, it's thoughts, it's ideas, it's saying, what you think about is so powerful. How we communicate what we think about is so powerful. So it's really saying, let us, I'm being inspired by the Libra energy. Let us be inspired, and let's make sure that we are really speaking our mind and we are really looking at everything in our life, all of the relationships and everything, and looking, where are things out of balance, right? Where are things out of balance, and how can we bring equality, um, equality to them? And that means speaking up and not covering things up when we see something that is unconscionable that's been done. It means we need to give voice to it. That's the Libra. It's the air. Air is thoughts. We actually have to say it. We actually have to say, this is unconscionable. This is an abuse of power. Yeah. And then we have to fight to balance the scales. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted just to point out, because it's wonderful energy with Libra to do that. And right away when Monashim came up and they talked about it, I mean, that the coach got fired. Okay, he got fired immediately. There's a desire, Libra energy, even if you don't have it in your chart, so much energy in Libra, there's a desire to be fair, to be rational, and to bring justice, to bring real justice. So, let us, I just wanted to share that. I've been so deeply inspired by the soccer players and by the gymnasts I'm so deeply inspired, and I wanted to share that just because this is what we can do, and we can look around. And when somebody comes to you and tells you something very traumatic, I mean, I saw Thelma and Louise, and Thelma didn't even know, yeah, spoiler alert, but Thelma didn't even know that Louise had been raped. And, it's like that was her best friend. So think about that. You can have a best friend and you don't even really know their trauma. And that's also Libra. It's like, use your words, make sure you put yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay, that's Libra. That is, everyone counts, everyone gets a vote, everyone gets a voice, and use your words to say, well, what are you really thinking? Oh, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And then guess what? You negotiate, you compromise, you work together, you collaborate, you partner. All right. So really take a look at your partnerships with Libra energy. And I pulled some cards. I won't go through all of them. If you want to see, I do messages. I created the Astro Oracle Planner, the Astro Planner. Um, and I have spreads in it and all kinds of energy. If you want to see the full spreads I did, you can check out my Astro Oracle podcast. You can check out my radio show Through the Lens of Astrology. A couple of messages that came out just to be, because if you're part of the group, you're giving energy, and then we have a unified intention. We did as a group get the seventh house reversed. So just check in with your relationships. Make sure that they have as much equality as they can. Take care of yourself. We got the Earth card. The Earth card is like, take care of the physical body and connect in practical ways with the physical world. Definitely work on collaborating. And, the Capricorn and Virgo energy in the group is elevated. So if you have it, step up to the plate. We got to contribute to the group. Yeah, we got to work together to make things better. This is very practical energy, and it slows us down. It slows us down. So think about that, and, think about ways to manifest with that energy, and think about the routine. All right. And, so this is really, I wanted to do a little recap of some of the energy that I went into detail over the last couple of episodes. So if you want to really do a deep dive into all of that, Mars is also in Libra, and Mars makes things happen, and that's how do we take action. So let's make sure that we're taking beautiful, it's like civil disobedience. Think of Mahatma Gandhi, okay? The beautiful civil disobedience. That's a Mars in Libra. That's a Libra action. It's saying, I'm gonna take this action to fight for equality, right? But I'm not going to create violence to do that, right? So that's a beautiful Libra action. I also, if you want to check out my podcast, I do take Mars in Libra through the 12 houses. And so you can look at your chart and say, well, if Mars is in this house, what are you going to do? You always want to engage with Mars because it makes things happen. Okay. Now, we did get the Pisces card reversed. All right. And, the Pisces card reversed, that means we need to remember to be very empathetic. Somebody cuts themselves, you bleed, right? We need to be very empathetic. But it can also mean that there's Pisces around you that are a little exhausted. So they may be pulling too much weight. So be aware of that as well. I'm just looking at some of the messages to say, but it's really going to come down to, we're in Mercury retrograde through October 18th. Try to just be a little more reflective, allow for some meditation, allow for creativity, activities that you do just to help you transcend and rejuvenate. That's very, very important with the Mercury energy in retrograde. Mars is in retrograde through October 30th. So yeah, we got some more time to really work work on taking those beautiful Libra actions. So we want to balance the scales. We want to look everywhere and say, okay, where is there inequality? And then apply the beautiful rational thought. Really connect. What are you thinking? What are your ideas? And then really communicate those and collaborate. Don't be afraid to communicate with people who are different from you. It's really, really important. I know we're at this point where everybody just yells at everybody, but if we can get back to that beautiful assertive diplomacy, then we can reach out to people who are so different from us, right? And we can say, okay, this is how you think, this is how I think, because every voice does count. I love one vote, we each get a vote. And it's important, but we do need to work on the collaboration and the negotiation. And we need to, try to be open to really allowing the beautiful, rational thought of Libra with the sensitive, reflective thought of the retrograde. Okay. And remember, anyway, we want to help the country. It's something I started to do. Whenever I do these spreads, I pull a card for how can we be of service to our country. We got the trine. So the trine is a gift is yours for the taking. Just don't forget to open it. So there are all ways that we can do to help. Remember, we're part of a group. We're part of a family group. We're part of a community group, right? And then we're part of our country and the world. It's like we're part of many, many groups. And it's saying that there are many ways to be yeah, there are many ways to be connected to all of that. And yet I'm doing this on the day that there was a big blast off into space, um, exploration and space and moving forward. But okay. So yeah, so I would say be inspired by those beautiful soccer players. I'm so moved and really be open right now to hearing the stories. And when you hear the stories, do what you can. Do what you can to balance the scales and really bring bring equality to all. Everyone counts. Every voice counts. And that's Libra. That's what Libra is. And it's justice. It's doing what we can. And of course, I mean, I'm here in Louisville where the whole Brianna, that, I mean, that's, you may not, that's like from a few months ago, Breonna Taylor. And it's like, I'll tell you, I pass a sign every day, justice for Brianna. It's like, so let's look. We don't forget with Libra energy, so many people need justice, right? And we say, okay, justice, justice, right? We have justice for Brianna. We have justice for the soccer players. Anyone who has suffered any inequality, abuse of power, anyone, that's we need to take extra actions, really focus our actions to bring them equality, to do what we can to balance the scales. We got to try, right? I know things are never perfectly balanced, but it's about intention. And as a group, let's go out and have that intention. Let's have that intention. Let's actively do what we can. When we see injustice, when we hear, somebody comes to us with a story, we say, that's unconscionable. I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm going to help you. I'm not going to cover that up. I'm going to help you expose that. Okay. I'm going to fight for justice for this person and for that person. Okay. That's what I'm being inspired by right now. And I hope everyone is inspired by that. Okay. Uh, that's this video. Yeah, until next time, enjoy and embrace transformation. And I'm going to add, because of the Libra, let's embrace justice.